We'll knock out all bloopers.
Coming on Thursday. Coming on Thursday.
You should say yes.
Hopefully,
Okay, here we go.
outside the
Good Vach. Matzah Shabbos, Daf Kuf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. We learned in the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, new Indian, new idea. You can wipe your minds clean of everything you've learned till now. The Mishnah said, Reishis Hagez, the mitzvah of shearing of the sheep in and Noig El Berachelim is only shaykh to sheep. Minah Nimile asked the Gemara, how do we know that? From where do we know that it's only relevant to sheep, to shearing sheep? That's it? You're out?
Yeah, I'm coming around.
Oh, when she comes.
What?
Okay. Minah Nimile asked the Gemara, how do we know? Oh, no, let's edit that. Okay, we'll start again. Matzah Shabbos, Daf Kuf Lamed Zayin. Here we go.
Wait, should I pause it?
No, we're just going to edit that part out. The Gemara, the Mishnah said, Reishis against Einunah Gel Berachalim. Ask the Gemara, Minah Nimile, how do we know that? Amar of Chizda, Asya Giza. We have somewhat of a Gzera Shava. It's not quite a Gzera Shava, Tosfos points out, but it's a limud like a Gzera Shava. Giza. Ksiv Hachar Reishis Gez Tzarmecha Titein Loi. V'ksiv Hasam, and we learn by Eov, Umegez Kivsai Yischamein. Eov saw an Evion, he saw poor people, and he gave him his wool, he sheared his wool, and he gave it to him to clothe him. So we see, just like by Eov, he specifically used wool of sheep, so too we learn Giza from Eov. That's Tosfos' issue. Says, how can you learn different Torah from the That's what we learn. Malahalan Kvasim, Av Kan Kvasim. Just like there, it's sheep specifically, so to here only sheep. Ask the Gemara, really, if that's the case, V'nelaf Giza Loid B'Bechor Shor. Here's very specific. Look at the pasuk. Tzon, the Bechor of the Tzon. How do I know that? Says the Gemara, Talmud Lomar, Lo Tavod Ven Lo Tagos. The Vav, what's that?
Shear the ox.
Well, you don't shear. Well, exactly. You don't shear the ox. That the Gemara is going to get to it in a second. But the point is, you can't take off its hair. You can't take off its hair. Just how do I know I can't take off the hair of the Bechor ox? I learned it from the tzon. And how do I know that I can't work the tzon, any type of avoda? I learned that from shore. How do I know that? Because the pasuk says vav. The vav is mechaber them, that I can't do one to the other. V'lo tavod v'lo tagos. Says the Gemara, Amar Kra, Titein loy v'loy lesako. You're right. I have the pasuk. The pasuk says, Titein loy v'loy lesako. When we talk about shearing the wool of the sheep to give Reishis Hagez, the pasuk says, Titein loy. It means give him something he can use as clothing, but not something that's going to be used to create like a little bag or a little purse. Yeah, the hair of the ox is not strong enough, not good enough, not proper enough to make proper clothing. You can't make clothing out of it. And the pasuk is saying very specifically that when I give this kohen, this Reishis Hagez, as something that has to be properly made into clothing. The hair of the ox can't be used for clothing. It can only be used to make these little pouches or whatnot. Ask the Gemara, Elameata, Notza Shel Izim Lechayev. Well, you said also that specifically sheep are for Reishis Hagez and not goats. Well, the hair of goats is very good hair that you could use for clothing. So if your qualification to be chayev the mitzvah of Reishis Hagez is that you have to be able to give over proper clothing, then why not? Why are goats excluded from the mitzvah of Reishis Hagez? Says the Gemara, Be'inan Giza Veleka. By goats, you don't shear it with tools, with a shearing machine. You pull it, you pluck it, you don't shear it. And you need another qualification, is that you have to be able to shear it with a machine. Says the Gemara, Man Shamis Le Haisvara. Yeah? Who says that you dafka need gziza and not with your hands? Man Shamis Le Haisvara. Who is the man number that holds that you dafka have to use a machine and not use your hands? Rabbi Yossi. It's Rabbi Yossi, which we'll see soon what Rabbi Yossi says. But Rabbi Yossi learns that it has to be very specifically with a tool. We're about to see soon in about 4 lines we're at 5, 6, 7 lines. We're going to see that Rabbi Yossi says, he also qualifies that when the derech is not to use the tool, and when the derech is to use your hands or to pluck irregularly, then it's fine, that counts. So how do we know that goats are not included in the mitzvah of Reishis Agez? Ela Kadama Rabbi Shua ben Levi, La'amod l'shares. The pasuk says, La'amod l'shares. When you're giving Kohanim their matanos, it says, La'amod l'shares. You have to give them something that they use in their avoda. La'amod l'shares. Davar haroi l'sherus. Achanami davar haroi l'sherus. Here too it has to be something that's roi l'sherus. The wool is roi l'sherus. You make out of it the clothing of the Kohanim. Goat hair, you don't use anything for their clothing.
Why does he not answer that already earlier on the cow's hair, on the ox's hair?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. We had a better answer. Maybe we're saving it for now. I don't know. Does he say? He says? No? Good question. Maybe we didn't want to jump to a new limud. Maybe we wanted to stick with the words of Giza, Reishis Agez, and not jump to a whole new limud of Lama B'Sharis. Also, that's only one mandamar of Yeshua ben Levi, right? If Yeshua ben Levi says Lama B'Sharis, maybe we want to be more inclusive of something that everybody says. Otherwise, I don't know. Ela Giza Lamaya. So at the end of the day, we did have some sort of Zera Shava or limud of Giza. What are we going to use that limud for? Lamaya. So Lekedetana de Be Rabbi Shmuel. The Tana de Be Rabbi Shmuel. Kvasim shetzimran kasher. You have sheep whose wool is very, very harsh, very strong, very rough. Yeah? Turim Mereishis Agez. Potter for Reishis Agez. There's no mitzvah of Reishis Agez on that wool. So it becomes already maybe a little bit subjective. Maybe you have to ask the experts. Shenemar umigez kvasai yischamam. Because Eov used wool that could be made into clothing. Obviously soft, proper wool. Yeah? So you're potter. Fine. Next. Tani Chada gozes esa'itz izim v'shotef esa'rechelim potter. One mandamar we learned the brisa. If you're gozes the izim, yeah, if you shear the goats and you're shotef esa'rechelim and you wash the wool of the rechelim and memela the wool comes off, are you chayiv in Reishis Agez? You like the thought? That's a Motzei Shabbos, yeah. And I just kept it for the shear, okay? V'shotef esa'rechelim and you wash the sheep. Now here's a very fascinating question. Are you chayiv on the mitzvah of Reishis Agez when you wash sheep? So we said that you have to do it in the standard way. The standard way is you shear sheep. But what if you wash the sheep and the hair comes off? What if enough hair comes off, which we'll see again, we'll see the amount soon, the Gemara is going to talk about, but enough hair comes off, are you going to be chayiv in the mitzvah of Reishis Agez? You have all this wool that came off while I was washing it. Do I have to give now the kohen some of that wool? So, Tani Chada says, whether you shear the izim or whether you wash the rechelim, the sheep, you're potter. No mitzvah of Reishis Agez. V'tani idach hagoyzes izim potter. I agree with you that if you shear the goats, you're potter. But if you shotef the rechelim, you're chayev. Yeah. So that's a stira. Lo kasha. Harabanan. Harab Yaisi. Yeah. That's Rabbanan. That's Rabbi Yaisi. Good. Yeah. Rabbanan are not mechayev Giza Kedarka. And Rabbi Yossi says you have to do Giza Kedarka like we just quoted earlier. Rabbi Yossi says in order to be chayev the mitzvah of Reishis Agez, you have to use a proper machine and do it in its regular fashion. How do we know that? From the Tanya by leket. Leket ktircha velo leket kituf. Yeah? By leket, yeah? So the mitzvah of leket is when you cut the grains, when you cut down the grains with your sickle or whatever you're going to use, the standard way of cutting down the grains. So anything that drops to the field, that's leket for the aniyim, and you can't take that. Yeah. So the brisa says leket ktircha velo leket kituf, but not if you go and you pick it with your hands. What if you go and you pick your whole field with your hands, and then a few stalks fall? That's not the mitzvah of leket. You can still pick those up. There's no leket on that. Leket is only on something that you cut down in a normal standard fashion. Rabbi Yossi Omer, ein leket ela haba machmas katzir. No, leket is only from something that you do in the standard way. Now wait a minute, we just said that, didn't we? That's what the Tanakama said. Look again at the brisa. Leket ktircha velo leket kituf. Leket is something that comes from a katzir, from something that you cut in the regular way, and not something that you pull out with your hands. And now Rabbi Yossi comes and says, ein leket ela haba machmas katzir. Leket only comes from something that you cut in the normal way. It's the same thing. Ask the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi Hainu Tanakama. What do you mean? Rabbi Yossi is saying the same exact thing Tanakama said. Says the Gemara, yeah, you're right. Kula Rabbi Yossi. The whole rice is really Rabbi Yossi. V'hachik tani. This is what Rabbi Yossi meant to say. She Rabbi Yossi Omer ein leket ela ba machmas katzir. Yeah, he's coming to explain. Yeah, Tani Mefarishla. He's coming to explain. What do I mean by not kitzur? It means that I have to use a regular fashion. So from here I see Rabbi Yossi Shita that you have to, in order to be chayav either in leket or in reishis. I guess for that matter, it has to be the standard fashion of how you do it. And when you do it in an abnormal fashion, you will potter yourself from the mitzvah of reishis agaz. Now, we said that there is one qualification, and that is one exception, I should say, and that's what we're going to quote now. We said the exception is if the standard way of doing it is not necessarily by using a machine, but by using your hands. So in that case, or in that situation, so Rabbi Yossi will be mechayev you that chiyuv, whatever it is, and that's what we're about to see. Amalei Rav Acha Berei de Rav Rav Ashi, Moide Rabbi Yossi, B'midei de Urchei. Rabbi Yossi is moide in a way that's standard, in a normal way for you to be cutting, even if it's not with a machine, that you'll be chayev in any given mitzvah. The Tanya, Rabbi Yossi Omer, katzir. Regarding payah. Over here the pasuk is referring to payah. 3 times it uses the lashon of katzir or ktsira, and Rabbi Yossi darshans all 3. Katzir. Rabbi Yossi Omer katzir eli ela katzir. I'm chayav the mitzvah of payah if I cut down its normal fashion. Katzir. Oiker minayin. What if I start pulling out my whole field? How do I know that I'm still chayav the mitzvah of payah? Talmud loymar liktzor. I need to, even if I have, it's a ribui, to tell me even if I do it in that fashion. Toilesh minayin, what if I just pull it out with the roots minayin? Talmud laimar bekutzrecha. So you see, in order to be chayav abnormal ways of cutting my field, Rabbi Yossi needs special limudim. He needs a special limud. If not for the special limud, I wouldn't be chayav. Yeah? So I'm only chayav in normal fashions. Amalei Ravina Ravashi. Ravina tells Ravashi, Afana nami tanimina. I learned that also. I know that as well. Milavnos bitzalim. Yeah, milavnos bitzalim are like this. When you have fields of vegetables, and in between the vegetables you have rows of onions. Okay, now onions are chayiv in the mitzvah of payah, right? Regular vegetables are not chayiv in the mitzvah of payah because it's only something that's long lasting, something that stays. It's chayiv in the mitzvah of payah. Yeah. Onions is chayav mitzvah of payah. Vegetables, cucumbers, for example, won't be chayav mitzvah of payah. Okay? So what if you have rows of cucumbers, and in between the rows of cucumbers, you have rows of onions? Yeah? In between each row. So are you chayav on these rows of onions? Okay?
They call it cash crops.
What's it called?
Cash crops.
Cash crops?
Yeah. They're short, quick growing vegetables.
Okay. Cool.
The shine is whether each row is regarded as
In and of itself. Do we view each row as its own field, so to speak? Or do I look at it all together? And if I have it all together, then it's not a field.
How far are they? We're talking about is it from going into
No, not a kilayim issue. No.
Not a time issue.
Afana nami tanina, milavnos betzalim sheben hayerek. Rav Yossi Omer, peah mikol echad ve'echad v'chachamim omer ma'achas alakol. Rav Yossi says, yeah, it's peah on each one. Yeah, even if you pull it out with your hands, even if you don't take it out in the regular way, because that's the regular way of pulling it out. That's the point. Because that's the regular way of pulling it out. You pull it out with your hands, these onions, you're chayiv on peah. Gary, can I just throw you for the water? Okay. Next, I have a. Thank you, man.
It's the nothing to the fact that the one says one row and the one says the other says everything.
No,
That's not what it's saying. That's the normal way.
no. That's its own separate machlokes. Okay. V'kamehi meruba. Okay. Now, we said in the Mishnah, we had a machlokes in the Mishnah between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, what's considered meruba, many, for the chiyuv of Reishis Hagez. Reishis Hagez said we're not chayav just on one sheep. So we saw 2 different shitas. We saw Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai said you need 2 sheep in order to be chayav the mitzvah of Reishis Hagez. Beis Hillel said you need 5. Okay? That was the machlokes. So we're going back to this machlokes now. V'kamehi meruba. Bishlama leBeis Shammai, Tarti, Nami, Ikritzayin. And they each quoted a pasuk. Yeah? So Beis Shammai quoted a pasuk that you saw, that we saw the Navi said, the Navi Yeshaya said, you're going to have 2 sheep and that's going to be enough to last you in the Zman of Beis HaMikdash, V'im Mechazek Klal Yisrael. It's going to be enough for you to have in the Beis HaMikdash. There's going to be so much bracha meruba, and 2 is enough. So you see that the pasuk refers to tzoin as 2. So 2 is tzoin. So that I understand. That's how Beis Shammai came up with the shita. 2 is considered already plural. Elul Beis Hillel, my time. How come Beis Hillel jumps to 5? My time, Amar of Kahana, Amar Kra, Asuyos. Because the pasuk he quotes uses the word Asuyos, and he darshins the word Asuyos she'oisos beis mitzvos. This song that I have, and it says 5 tzon Asuyos. These 5 tzon Asuyos, they're gonna make you do 2 mitzvos. So I'd rather that drush over just a regular drush that tells me that tzoin is 2. Who says tzoin is 2? But I'm going to show you a pasuk that says that asuyos is going to make you do mitzvos. Which mitzvos is going to make you do? Reishis agez v'matanos. So you see that 5 is the number that makes you do the mitzvah of Reishis agez.
It's not that makes you higher because you have a flaw.
That's
It's
right.
considered a flaw. I mean, I don't know if that's right. Translation for
sheep.
Isn't it a
Heard?
herd?
Yeah. But that's exactly his point. What's going to make you chayev the mitzvah of Reishis Agez? You see from this pasuk, what makes the mitzvah of Reishis Agez and Matanos? 5.
2.
5. 5.
Where do you see 5?
That's the pasuk he quotes. If you look at the Mishnah, Chamesh tzon asuyos. The word is Chamesh tzon asuyos. That's the pasuk.
Oh, Asuyos.
Asuyos. Chamesh tzon asuyos. She'oisois beis mitzvahs. They do make you do 2 mitzvahs. Which 2 mitzvahs do they make you do? Reishis Agez and Matanos.
That's 2. Or 3.
Not 2. No. Again, Beis Shammai has a different pasuk. Beis Shammai uses a pasuk that tzoin is shtei tzoin. That's Beis Shammai's pasuk. Beis Hillel uses a pasuk chamesh tzoin asuyos.
Oh, it says Chamesh.
It says in the pasuk chamesh tzoin asuyos. So what's considered asuyos? When does it make you do? When I have 5. So the mitzvah. Nothing.
It's also Novi. It's also Novi.
They're both navi.
So why you don't ask the same question you asked before?
What's that?
How many
The Gemara is going to ask that in a minute.
This really?
The Gemara is going to get to that mamash in a minute. Yeah, the Gemara is going to get to that in a second.
Maybe some of our Instagrams and some of them.
Gotta get some coffee.
Yeah,
The comics, that's the comics.
exactly. So when I'm talking about son, when I'm talking about sheep, it says v'chamesh tzoin asuyos, meaning what makes me do these mitzvos? What do I need to do these mitzvos?
Space Hello.
Chamesh tzon. That's Beis Hillel. That's Beis Hillel.
How do we know it's 5?
But Shammai has a different pasuk from Yeshaya.
It says Reishis Agez and Matanos. So how do we know that 5? Maybe Reishis Agez is 4 and Matanos is
Because the pasuk
Matanos is
says,
2.
the pasuk says chamesh tzon asuyos. And
what
two
to do those
mitzvos.
You need 5.
You need 5 sheep to do those mitzvos.
Okay, but
Which
maybe-
mitzvos? Reishis Agez and Matanos.
Okay, so then maybe Reishis you need 5 because 3 of them are going to be for Reishis Agez and 2 of them are for Matanos.
That's not what the pasuk says. The pasuk says 5 to make you do these mitzvos. I hear.
It's also 5 then.
The Gemara's going to ask you a question. I was waiting for that. Very good. Matanos, then you also need 5 sheep. Do you need 5 sheep for Matanos?
No,
Of course not.
When it becomes 5, you have 2. Until 4, you have only 1. When it becomes 5, it becomes 2.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice answer. Okay, let's see the Gemara. This is Mamash what
We
you're
already
saying.
had a drasha to be machalik for each one. Machalik.
What's that?
And Matanos we had last week a drasha to be machalik.
The shore or set, right? Or shore or set, one or the other. So that the Gemara's going to ask. Wait a minute, time out. We're skipping a step here. Okay, but we'll get there. 1 second. But here, this is Beis Shammai's drasha, Beis Hillel's drasha. He's going to get off this anyway. You're right. You're all right. We're going to knock this all out. In the meantime, this is Beis Hillel's drasha. Ask the Gemara, who says it's Reishis Agez and Matanos? Ema B'choira and Matanos. Maybe you need 5, you need B'choira and Matanos. Says the Gemara, B'chora, what do you mean? How can you say B'choira, you need 5? B'choira chada mila mechayva. What do you mean? A B'chor, we know you're chayav with 1. The very first one that comes out. So ask the Gemara what you're all thinking. Uletaimei, Matanos chada mila mechayva. What do you mean? The Matanos is also 1, right? Well, like we said, we had a drasha that said only 1. Matanos is also 1. Ella, that wasn't really Beis Hillel's drasha. It was Chamesh Tzon Asuyos, and that's what the Mishnah said. Chamesh Tzon Asuyos. You could send me that. Thank you very much. Okay.
I don't think you want this one.
I don't want that one.
I'll get you a better one.
Fine. Ella Amar Ravashi. Asuyos, what does it mean, chametz ton asuyos? Sheme'asos, it's ba'alehen, ve'omroslo, kum asay mitzvah. What does chametz ton asuyos mean? It makes you do. It tells you, the Bailim, get up and go do a mitzvah. What mitzvah do you get up and go do? Reishis Agaz. So that's where Beis Hillel learns 5. That's it, that's his drasha. Tanya, says the Brisa. The Bei Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi Omer, Mishum Aviv, Arba. I hold you need 4 tzoin. How do I know that? Shenemar. Ve'arba tzoin tachas haseh. And this, Rabbi Isai, is a pasuk. This is a pasuk in the Torah. Ve'arba tzoin tachas haseh. 4 tzoin instead of the seh. Tanya, Amar Rebbe, comes along Rebbe and says, Ilmale divreihin divrei Torah. If Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai brought a pasuk, but brought psukim from the Torah, v'divrei berebi Kabbalah, and berebi meaning Rabbi Yossi Mishum Aviv brought divrei Kabbalah, Nevi'im Aksuvim, Anan divrei Rebbe Shaimin, I still would have listened to divrei Rebbe. V'kol shekain, all the more so, shedivreim divrei Kabbalah, all the more so when what they're quoting are psukim in Nach, v'divrei berebi divrei Torah, and he's quoting a pasuk mamish from the Torah. Of course we're going to paskin like berebi. Of course we're going to paskin like Rabbi Yossi b'Shem Aviv. And of course the halacha should be that it's 4 tzoin to be mechayiv you reishis agaz. Correct the Gemara, what do you mean? V'amar mar ein hachra shlishis machras. Wait a minute. It's very nice when you want to come and be machriya in a psak between 2 different people, and you side with one of the people, then we say, okay, fine, now it's 2 against 1, it's roiv and miut, halacha keroiv, right, rabbi, halacha kerabim, but over here, this is a whole 3rd shita. Why are you suddenly paskening like him? Why are you picking him over Beis Hillel Beis Shammai, Mapiton? Yeah, it's a whole 3rd made-up shita. It's not like he's coming and being machriya atzad. You're machriya atzad, and I hear 2 tzadim, and I'm going to come up with some sort of pshara or atzad in between, but I'm basing myself on one of the 2 tzadim, and I'm being machriya like you or like you. That's a hachra. But over here, I'm coming in with a whole 3rd shot. You say 2, you say 5, I say 4. Shkoyach. So why are you paskening like me?
How can you bring a rive from before anyway? It's talking about a very specific psak halacha that you're talking about somebody who's chayv abol chamisha.
Yeah, but the point is, but you see that soin is referred to as 4. That's the
No,
point.
it's the punishment.
That's
4.
But it's plural. It's the plural. It's the plural.
The soin is 1. He stole 1 soin. He stole 1.
But the Gemara,
His punishment is 4.
you can never. It's not called sign. You
It
have
says,
four,
"Ki yignai
you
v'yesh
can
shar or yiseh." When it talks about the single that he stole,
That
it was
earlier.
just said. When you return, it talks about the total, it says arbat time. So 4.
Well, how come I paskin like him? Mipi Shmua Amra Mipi Chagai Schayat Malachi. No, the reason he came up with 4 is he had a Messiah from Chagai, Zechariah, and Malachi. That's it. Next. Back to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said, Reb Daisa ben Herkinas Oimar, the Chiyuv of Reishis Agez. In order for you, now there's 2 stages over here, let's not confuse them. Stage 1 is how much do I need to shear in order to be Chayav Reishis Agez? And then stage 2 is of what I sheared, how much am I Chayav to give to the Kohen? Right? Those are 2 different amounts. Amount number 1 is how much do I actually have to shear off the sheep, and then question number 2 is how much of that do I have to give to the kohen? Okay, so Reb Daisa ben Herkinas had his shita of Reishis Agez. That you need money pras. Chachamim came along and said you need 5 sheep and you need a shear of a kol shehen, any amount. Now the Gemara takes for a given that kol shehu doesn't really mean kol shehu. It doesn't mean if you shear a tiny little piece of wool, suddenly you're chayav in the midst of Reishis Agez. There has to be a minimum shear that you have to do. The reason they used the lashon of kol shehen was because Reb Chanina ben Daisa, is that who it was? No, Reb Daisa ben Herkinas used such a large amount, 600 grams we said last week, yeah, such a large amount, so they said, no, it's a minimum amount, it's not that much. Now we're going to qualify how much is that kol shehu. That's what the Gemara gets into now. Rav Dozman Herkner Soimer v'chulei. V'kama kol shein. How much is kol shein? Amar Rav Mana upras ubilvad shiyu mechumashos. Rashi points out Mana upras comes out to a total amount of 37 and a half slimes worth of wool. Okay, 37 and a half slimes worth of wool divided by 5 equally. Okay, so to be clear, you need 5 sheep. Each sheep will come out to, where are my mathematicians? How much does it come out to for each one? 7.5. Very good. 7.5 each one. Close. Yeah, 7.5 each one. From each sheep, in order to be chayav the mitzvah of Reishis Agaz, you must shear from each sheep 7.5 worth slimes worth of wool to be chayav the mitzvah of Reishis Agaz. Again, that's not how much we're giving to the kohen. That's how much you're shearing. And that's what Rav says.
It's not worth, it's weight.
Right. Wait, correct. Shmuel Amar Shishin. You need 60 slime weight. V'noisen selechad l'kayin. And he throws in that, of that 60, 1 seller you're going to give to the kayin. Keep that in mind. That's an important point. Okay? Rabbi Bar Chana Amar Rabbi Yochanan Sheish. Also important. Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan says, or Rabbi Chana quotes in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, 6 sellers worth. And listen to this breakup. Kohanim are going to like this. Chamesh l'kayin chamesh ve'echad loy. The kohen gets 5 and he keeps 1 for himself. Okay, and if you do more, you keep more for yourself. But the point is, the kohen gets 5. That's the point.
How do you get to, sorry to interrupt, but a seller is a monetary value.
It was a weight.
How do you get a weight?
Seller was a weight.
Shekel is a weight.
It's a weight.
Shekel I know is a weight.
It's the
A
same
seller,
thing.
a weight.
It's all.
All weights, also a weight.
The sela of the Gemara is the shekel of the Torah. It's a weight.
Ula Amar Rabbi Elazar, Kol Shein Shaninu. Ula B'Shem Rabbi Elazar says, no, Kol Shein means Kol Shein. It means any minimal amount. 5. Tanan. Learn the Mishnah. V'kama Noisen Loi. How much do you give him? Mishkal Chamesh Slaim. See, we say Mishkal. Mishkal Chamesh Slaim beYehuda, Shein Eser Slaim beGalil. Now we've got a problem. We have 4 different shitas of how much you have to shear. So Bishlama LeRav Rabbi Yochanan Nicha. Why? Because Rav said the amount is 37 and a half. From that 37 and a half, you could give 5. Rabbi Yochanan said 6. From that 6, you give 5. But Shmuel said, how much? Shmuel Amar Shishim v'noisen sela echad. Shmuel said you give 1 selah. What do you mean? Our Mishnah says you have to give the kohen 5. Rabbi Elazar, who said amashu kol shein means kol shein, he says you give the kohen 5. So how does that work? You shear amashu, and now you're chayev the mitzvah reishis to give the kohen. You have to take a loss. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Ela l'Shmuel Rabbi Elazar kasha, says the Gemara. Uletaimech ulerav minicha. It's not so glat according to Rav either. Why not? Rav Shmuel Damar Tavayu. Rav Shmuel both said Reishis Agez b'shishim. You have to give to the kohen a 60th of your Reishis Agez. Yeah, a 60th of 37 and a half comes out to even less than a selah. Yeah, a little more than half. Right? Yeah, comes out to nothing. That doesn't make any sense. So Gemara says you're right. When Rav Shmuel said that, so that we said that you have to give 5. Itmar Allah dehi Rav Shmuel dami tavayu beIsrael sheyesh lo gizin harbe askinan umevakesh litnan lekayin. What our Mishnah is referring to, when you have to give the kohen 5 sellers worth, which is quite a significant amount, it's referring to a very, very wealthy guy, and he's got a lot of wool. And he wants to go out and start distributing. He has a distribution campaign over here to all the Kohanim. So the Mishnah comes and qualifies, says, Mr. Gvir, you want to give Kohanim wool? That's fine. The minimum you can give each one is 5 sellers worth. Don't go under 5 because that's already not a Nesina Mechubedes. You want to accomplish here giving a proper Nesina, something that's Mechubed. Don't defeat the purpose by giving 1,000 Kohanim a minimal amount. You have to give a minimum of 5.
It says you can make a garment out of 5.
That's a shir mechubedes.
So the shear according to everybody is shishims?
Is
1/60th.
That's what we're going to get to in a second as well. Okay, and here now we get into your question. Gufa, Rav Shmuel Damer Tavayu. We learned Reishis Agaz Beshishim. Reishis Agaz, to give the kind, you give a 60th. That's the Torah amount. Truma Beshishim. Truma, you give a 60th. Peah Beshishim. Peah as well is a 60th of the field. Now we're going to analyze each one of these three. Truma Beshishim. How you tell me Truma is Beshishim? V'hanan Tanan. Truma Ein Yafa Echad Me'arbayim. Truma we learned is really 1/40th. Says the Gemara, what you're all thinking? No, Deraisa is Beshishim. Derabanan is Me'arbayim. Deraisa, you're Yaitse with 1/60th. And Chachamim came along and said, you want to be nice to the Kayen? Give him a 40th. Ask the Gemara, Deraisa Beshishim? Is Deraisa really Beshishim? V'amar Shmuel, Chita Achas Poteris Sakri. What do you mean? Deraisa, one Chita is enough. All you need is one Chita and you're Yaitse the Chiv Truma. So the Gemara qualifies that as well. It says like this. No, we got it wrong. There's 3 stages. Number 1, Deraisa is Kiddush Shmuel. Okay, you're right. Mi Deraisa is like Shmuel. 1 Chita is enough to be Yaitse your Chiv of Truma. Derabanan b'Deraisa. Now, we have 2 types of Truma. We have Truma Deraisa, which is Dagan Tirosh and Yitzhar, right? And then we have Truma Derabanan. We have Deraisa Truma, Derabanan Truma. So we say like this: Derabanan b'Deraisa echad me'arbayim. Yeah? And the Deraisa Trumas came along Chachamim and said, you're right, 1/60th is enough in Deraisa. But you want to be nice? Do 1/40th. Derabanan b'Derabanan b'Shishim. And by Derabanans, there's no even Indian of an Ayin Yafa. Maybe there's no Indian of Ayin Yafa. Echad b'Shishim is more than enough to be Yaitse Yechiv. And that's how we line up all these prices. Next, Peah we said is b'Shishim. V'atanan, elu dvarim she'elam shiur. These are things that don't have a shiur. Ha-Peah, v'abikurin. Yeah, very good. We all know this. I hope you know this. Yeah. V'rayon. What's a rayon? When you go up to the Beis Hamikdash, yeah, you have to bring a korban. A korban oil riyah. Yeah, a riyah. How many times do you bring that korban?
Every time you go.
Every time you go into the Azar. There's no shiur for it. Elu dvarim she'en lam shiur.
No, you bring one carbon and you can count many reels.
And as many times as you come,
You have to
you
bring-
have to bring another korban.
No.
That's
One carbon, it's not locus either how much the carbon should be worth.
No, there's 2 elements of it. One is how much it should be worth. And the second one is, do you have to keep bringing?
Seeing. I don't think you bring a carbon each time you see.
I
Each year.
think you
Says-
do.
It
Okay,
says
well, look.
here, Rabbi Armstrong, on the biblical law, there's no limit to the number of visits a person should make. If it fulfills his basic obligation with only one appearance, then it's credit of the new mitzvah performs for each additional appearance.
Right.
Since there's no limit to the value of the offerings that brought, one can fulfill his obligations with the most inexpensive animals or earn more merit by bringing offerings of obviously high quality. So you're both right. It's that
That's not locus.
you have to bring, it doesn't make a difference about the animal, but you also have to bring an animal for each time.
no, but you should bring an animal each time you go. It's
Right,
the-
that's
the
what we're
first
saying.
mission of Chagiga.
Right.
Okay.
What number is that?
In any case, what?
31.
31.
In any case, we're asking here on Peah.
It's Chagiga Daf
Peah
Zayin.
b'shishim
Chagiga
v'atanan.
Daf Zayin.
Elu dvarim she'en lam shir ha'peh v'bikur v'rayon. Deraisa en la shir. You're right. Really, mi deraisa, there's no shir. Derabanan b'shishim. Derabanan, it's shishim. That's how we come with the Ram. My kamash malan tanina. What do you mean? We learned that already in the Brisa. In Peichsin lepeah, mishishim. Afal pi shamu apeah in lam shir. Even though we said peah doesn't have a shir, we already learned in the Brisa that we don't do any less than a 60th. Says the Gemara, Hasam ba'aretz, hacha bechul. What Rav and Shmuel came to be mechadesh over here. Rav and Shmuel, what they came to be mechadesh over here is that even in Chutz La'aretz you have this minimum shir of a 60th.
Did we
That
not say there's a
Chazal
maximum
instituted.
pair?
Huh?
Did we not learn once that there's a maximum pair? That you shouldn't leave your whole field for pair. You have to.
We didn't see that by Peah, we saw that by Truma, we saw that by Reishis Agez.
Yeah.
Maybe by Peah as well, I don't recall, but it
That
could
would be
be.
pay actually. Keep the whole field.
Well, that's the point, that's what we were saying, yeah, I think by Peah as well, maybe. That's shir,
Yeah,
and even in Chutz La'aretz
The Chiddush is that the Cloud is pay on Chutzlars.
as well.
So someone to learn that it's only the countries near Eretz Yisrael.
Syria and Lebanon.
Not America.
Kisalik isi barhini.
That's pretty close to the
Here's some fascinating Torah over here for you. Kisalik isi barhini ashkechel Rabbi Yochanan the kamas nilay. So the way we learn this, Rabbi Yochanan saw Rav Isi Barhini teaching his son. Okay? And he heard Rav Isi Barhini telling his son using the words rechelim. Yeah? Male. Amar lei asne rechelois. So Rabbi Yochanan pipes in, and Rabbi Yochanan says to him, you really should say rechelois, not rechelim, or rechelot. Okay? However you want to say it. Amar lei, so Isi Barhini answers him, what do you mean? I'm just using the lashon of the Torah. Amar lei kedichsiv rechelim masayim. It says 200 rechelim. Amar lei lashon Torah la'atzma, lashon chachamim la'atzman. Everything's it. That's divrei Torah. Yeah, but when you're talking about Mishnah, in the Mishnah we use rechelos. We use the female tense. Amar lei. So now it gets into an interesting story. Amalei man rei sidra bebavel. So now Rabbi Yochanan is picking on this Isi Barhini, and he says to him, well, who's the Rosh Hashiva over there in Bavel, where you were learning? Amalei Abba Aricha. Yeah, it's Rav. He was called Abba Aricha. Yeah, his name was Abba, and he was the Gadol, he was tall, and they called him Abba Aricha. They called him Abba Aricha. Amalei Abba Aricha Karislei. You're using that sort of terminology? You call him Abba Aricha? The Kirna, this is now Rabbi Yochanan speaking, says the Kirna Karave Yasivna Achar Yud Zayin Shuran Achore the Rav Kamei the Rebbe. I remember before Rav made Yeridah to Chutz La'aretz, when he was learning in Eretz Yisrael, we learned in the same yeshiva, we learned by Rebbe, and he sat in the very, very first row. I sat 17 rows behind. And back then in the Beis Medrash, as good as you were, that's how close you got to the Rebbe, yeah? He was all the way up front, I was all the way in the back. And you're calling him Abba Aricha, that's how you're referring to him? And not only that, when I was sitting in the back, V'nafki zikukim dinur mipume derav, lepume de Rebbe, and I saw balls of fire that were coming out of Rav's mouth when he was speaking to Rebbe, umipume de Rebbe, lepume de Rav. And from the words of Rebbe answering Rav back, balls of fire were coming out. And you're calling him Abba Aricha? And I want to tell you something else. V'leis ana yada mahen amrin. And I had no clue what they were talking about. This was so beyond me. These guys were like so in a different league, and you're calling him Abba Aricha?
So is Abba Aricha a derogatory?
Derogatory term. So it's interesting. The Chassam Sofer says, I saw that Taka was shot that he called him Abba Aricha. That's a very good question. Yeah, so he said that in front of Rabbi Yochanan, who was the Gadol in Eretz Yisrael, he didn't want to use a terminology of being Mechabed Rav more than Rabbi Yochanan. So he didn't want to call him Rebbe, which was really his Rebbe as well, because he was even greater than Rabbi Yochanan. So says Rabbi Yochanan. He didn't want to use that terminology in front of the Gadol. Yeah, so he called him not a derogatory term, but a term that maybe minimized his godless in front of the Gadol Hador of Eretz Yisrael. That's
he was practical. He was the tallest man.
Yeah, but you don't go ahead and call. I don't want to use terminology.
No wonder the guy sitting 17 rows behind didn't hear or see
You
him.
couldn't see it. That's
Being so tall.
Then Yoda explains that his name was actually Abba.
Right.
That's what he was called.
Right.
But Abba by itself could be taken to as a very
Derogatory.
as a good title, as meaning father. Rather than
So he
the
didn't
name.
want to just say
So
Abba.
father could be like Rabbeinu, that he is our father. However, when you say Abba Aricha, so then you're not calling him father,
Right.
because you're putting a second. So by calling him Abba Aricha, you showed you
Minimized himself, along the same
calling
lines.
him Rabbeinu.
Very good. In any case, here we go. So now that Isi Barhini was put in his place, Amar Lei, Ihu Reishis Agez Bekama. What do you hold? How much is Reishis Agez? How much? You guy wanted to change the topic quickly. He saw this was getting heated. So it says Reishis Agez. By the way, what's your psak on Reishis Agez? How much do you need in order to be chayev? Amar Rabbi Yochanan b'shishim. You need 60. V'ha'nan says Isi Bar Yehuda b'chol shehen. Tanan. What do you mean? The Mishnah says kol shehu. Amar Lei, and he gives him one last shtach, or they discuss whether there's a shtach or not. Amar Lei, im kain ma bein li v'lach. You're telling me I don't know the Mishnah? You're asking me. I also know what kol shehu means. But I know that kolshu means shishim. What are you asking me kashas? And then you're coming back and saying, what do you mean it says kolshu? I'm explaining to you what kolshu is, like we learned at the beginning of the summit, right? Kolshu doesn't mean kolshu. There are 4 different shitas. Only one of them said it actually means kolshu, right? Now I'm telling you, I'm paskening it shishim, like we saw. What's it? Shmuel. Yeah, Shmuel said shishim, and I'm paskening like that. That's the end of that conversation. Kiasa Rav Dimi Amar Reishis Agez Rav Amar B'Shishim Rav Yochanan Mishum Rav Yanai Amar B'Sheish 6 Amar Le'abayla Rav Dimi Anchas Lanchada V'Akshas Lanchada. I'm gonna settle the score with one of these that you just said, and I'm gonna ask you a kasha on one of these that you just said. Bish Lama Rabbi Yochanan Lo Kasha. Because just now we said Rabbi Yochanan holds 60, and now you're telling me he says 6. So Bishlam Rabbi Yochanan Lo Kasha. Hadidei Hadirabe. Yeah? He himself holds 60. The rabbi, he himself holds 60. Yeah? Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Yanai Omer Sheish. Yeah? In the name of his rabbi he says 6. Ella the Rav Kasha. Why is Rav the Rav Kasha? Because here he just quoted Rav says 60. But now I'm going to bring you another brayso. The Amar Rav Mana Upras. We learned in our Mishnah Mana Upras. And Mana Upras we said was 37 and a half. 7 and a half for each one. A Mana is 25 slayim. Yeah, 25 plus half of 25 is another 12 and a half. Comes out to 37 and a half. And now you're telling me that Rav said 60. Which one is it? The Rav, Nami Lakasha. So he answers him back, no. Rav Dimi answers him back, the Rav, Nami Lokasha, no problem. My mana, the Kamar, Ben Arbaim Slayim.
I knew this.
Yeah, you knew this was coming.
Say that.
When I said a mana, I wasn't referring to a mana worth 25, the weight of 25 slime. I was talking about a mana, the weight of 40 slime. If you have a mana worth the weight of 40 slime, then manu pras means 40, and half of that, and 20 is 60. The Havile B'Shishim, and let's just finish this off very quickly. V'tani Tana Mana Ben Arbaim Slayim. Does the Mishnah really talk about mana worth 40 slayim? Yes, it does. V'atanan, the Mishnah says, Chamas Chodasha, when you have this flask of sorts, Afal Pisha Mekabelis reminding Tahira, and you didn't finish tying it up, you didn't finish sewing it together. So it's tahor. So long that you didn't finish the malacha of making this kli remains tahor the whole time. It's got a big hole in it, and it remains tahor. Tafra, but if you sewed it up, and then it ripped, shiura kimaitzi remind him, then the shear of that rip is kimaitzi remind him, and then it already loses its shame kli.
Why is that?
Because it can no longer hold the reminder.
But it could have held the reminder at the beginning.
It was able to.
Yeah, so
Now it can't.
Why wasn't that a cleat?
It was. As soon as you sew it up, it becomes a kli.
Before you sew it up, it could hold
Because you never finished the malacha called a kli. That's why. That's what Rashi says. Yeah, you never got a shame kli. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov in there, kipakiyoi shel shesi. Yeah, these yarns of shesi, or I don't know, coins. Yeah, yarns of shesi. Achas, but here's the point. Achas me arba b'mana ben arbaim slayim. So you see that the Bryce when it's referring to a mana, it's referring to a mana of arbaim slayim. Yeah, the weight it has to hold is a quarter of those arbaim, meaning 10 slimes worth. But the point is that it refers to ben arbaim slayim. So you see mana is referred to arbaim slayim. Have a good night.